Thanks for joining us today. We're here today with Carol Braverman, who has Mountaintop Acupuncture. Tell us a little bit about you on acupuncture. I mean, it's an interesting modality, and I understand you do more than acupuncture. It's acupuncture and nutrition.
And it's herbs, nutrition, Chinese dietetics, Qigong. Okay. That's how I came to this. I studied Qigong for a very long time and Bagua, which are the internal arts, like yoga.
Right.
It's Chinese yoga.
Right.
And there are all these principles of physics that are inside that we can utilize and be healthier. And that's what led me to become interested in acupuncture. But I didn't experience acupuncture for 6 years while I was studying Qigong.
That's fascinating. So Qigong is about moving energy.
Yes.
And it's amazing because some of the studies with Qigong masters, they're able to do everything from miles and miles and miles away at a distance, be able to affect culture in a petri dish, for example. Make this one grow, make that one die. So you're really working in energy fields, in physics, right? With quantum physics.
And it's like embodying something and I'm very big about being proactive, but that's what this is. It's sort of acupuncture for yourself in a way, getting things to move. And so you become 3D, you embody what you're here for. You experience everything on multiple levels. And that's how it feels when you do Qigong. You're really inside your body. Right. You're not numbing anything. You want to go in and experience it and affect change if there's something that's off.
So how in Qigong, and therefore with acupuncture I would assume similar philosophies,
yes,
pain is just information, right?
Yes.
It's not bad.
No.
It's not good. It's information.
Well, it's literally blockage is usually
the source of pain?
Yes. So they say where there's no movement, there is pain.
There's pain.
And so the idea is to just initiate some kind of movement, and the expertise that we're trained in is to know when and how much to put on the brakes if somebody can't handle it. So there is a lot of observational information that comes in first that we have to assess before we treat somebody.
And you're talking now specifically with acupuncture.
Yes.
So let's focus on that, and we'll do some follow-up interviews, I think, on the herbs, because I'm fascinated with that as well. But around acupuncture, are there specific points that you're working with, and is it always with needles?
Well, it is mostly with needles, but I also use moxibustion, which is to generate heat in the body. And there are 360 bona fide or 365 bona fide points, and then there are these other points that we call our sure points. So really the whole body is, connects and connects and connects. And there's a map, and there's a lot of theory, and there are like main theories that overlap but aren't perfectly aligned with each other. So you kind of pick and choose what works for that person. And you would choose a point prescription that would also be, it would sort of spread around the body. So if someone had shoulder pain, you wouldn't just needle in the shoulder, you might needle, and then this is a style I use. I think if it hurts there, I used to joke the Chinese, let's stick a needle in it. And then I would do for the physical pain, and then I would also treat the constitution. And most acupuncturists would do that with some body needles that move everything in general and support. But there are other styles where they only treat away, like a Dr. Tan. So if your shoulder hurt, then you might hit the lateral side of the opposite knee.
Correct.
Or the lower leg, or the ankle. Whatever was a corollary in that system.
And do you think that has, so I have interviewed an acupuncturist who did that, and he couldn't really, it was more about the philosophy around, to me it was a holographic map of the body.
It's I Ching. They were using the I Ching.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
And are you using some of that, or yours is a different
I'm
approach?
doing straight up TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, which was created by Mao when he reviewed it and said we can't throw the whole thing out. So he took what were lineages from thousands of years and tried to categorize it and make it really simple. That's what came over to the United States in the 70s.
In the 70s.
Yeah.
In fact, that's a fascinating history. A lot of people think acupuncture is kind of a new thing, and it's not. It's ancient.
Yeah.
What, 5,000 years?
Yeah.
It goes back thousands of years. So great amount of evidence around its efficacy.
Yes.
And then it was, we were visiting China in the 70s.
Yes.
That someone came ill.
James Reston. And my brother went to med school at Cornell, and that's where he went to get to talk about it. And it's the first time that it was reported in the United States. He had appendicitis. I was telling the story to someone the other day.
Yes, it's a fascinating story.
So they used no anesthesia. And I was saying this because this is, you probably edit this out, but some insurance companies say, oh, only a doctor who does anesthesia can, only if you're, and nobody, I've never heard of anyone using it for anesthesia in this country or training in it, so I don't know, it's just a workaround. But anyway, that was pretty stunning that it's so young that it came to this country, and some people in our, had it together to get us organized to be in the Middle States for accreditation of schools. That's the organization that does that, and to create the NCCOM, which is the governing body that does
for Chinese medicine.
We take our boards and we get recertified. So somebody put that together, and which is amazing to me because I've worked in advocacy and it's like herding cats. I mean,
but it's nice to know that there's that you, for example, have been through training, education, there's board certification.
Yes.
It's to make sure that you're true to the. And I wouldn't even call it an art, although when you go beyond science to really being able to read the body, I think that's where you enter art.
Sure.
So there is science and art to acupuncture.
I think so too.
Yes.
Yeah, because there's a certain, like when I mentioned before about observation, I think my observation of acupuncturists is that we tend to be tend to be a little reticent to jump into the fray. We're more observational, and that works in our favor, and that's why one of the characteristics that maybe draws us to it.
It could, yes.
But what I wanted to tell you is that my program in New York was very heavy in science, biomedicine, pathophysiology, like half of it. So my thinking is not so much in theory.
Right.
And
It's almost like functional acupuncture versus theoretical acupuncture.
So I don't stand, when somebody's on the table, I don't say, you have blah, 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 liver invading spleen. Because what does that mean to you?
It doesn't mean anything to me if I don't understand that.
If you're stressed, it goes to the diaphragm, that's your vagus nerve, and it's going to be activated in a way that's not helpful.
Right.
So we're going to calm that vagus nerve, and your digestion's going to work more smoothly, and you're going to be less stressed.
It's
wonderful.
wonderful.
It's sort of like that.
I like that. So it's like functional acupuncture.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
It is.
That's really interesting. So if I've never been to acupuncture, right, and I'm really exploring this, what kinds of things might I come to you for?
Okay. Anything that's, a lot of people will claim it treats everything, and I would say it doesn't treat everything, it treats a certain subset of things that are diverse, and the reason why is that it initiates a response from certain body systems. So things like that affect like circulatory system, if people get headaches, a lot of physical pain, that's like sort of a bread and butter thing. When I went to school, I had no idea it worked on musculoskeletal things, though. I thought it was all for internal. It does fabulously well on all kinds of women's issues. It's amazing.
Well, so much of women's issues are due to stress. So it goes back to that vagus nerve.
Yes.
You have that thing out of balance. Digestion goes, reproduction goes.
Yes.
And it's a downhill slide from there.
Yes. And I would say that the so it's circulatory, immune system really bolsters it. I have a subspecialty in oncology, so when people are undergoing chemo, it's very helpful, partly because it just really boosts their immune system. And there are a couple other things, but the one that I'm most interested in is the nervous system, because that's so, global.
It's the root of everything.
It is.
It's what drives the body, it's what drives the muscles.
Yes.
Muscles move bone.
Yes. And so
nervous system regulates organs.
Yes. And the circulatory system, this might be a little in the weeds, but when you put the needle in the body, the immune system goes, what's that? That's not self. And so it goes into high alert, and there's a property of the vessels, the blood vessels, that open to let the immune system players that are floating around in the interstitial fluid and the lymphatic organs to go directly into the bloodstream to get to the site of the so-called injury.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so that relaxes the vessel, and that's local, and then it winds up relaxing the whole body. And
fascinating.
The other part of that is the nervous system also then it gives the nervous system parasympathetic branch supremacy for that period of time. So it works really well on all kinds of stress.
Oh,
it's amazing for that. So yes, so to answer your question, I'm a little long-winded, it works on a lot of internal things that are typical day-to-day things, headaches and stomach aches and physical pain. But it also, I've had some really wonderful zebras in my life. Can I tell you one or two?
Yes, please. I would love to know. I mean, I think it helps
Yeah.
people who are watching understand the different applications for it. Because I think it's much more, to your point, it can be specific but very broad.
Right. So that's why it works on these diverse things, because it's really about affecting the system.
Mm-hmm.
So just before this, in our way of looking at it, we wouldn't say if someone had a UTI. We wouldn't say, we don't need to know what organism is in the body.
Right.
We just know it has this or that or the other characteristic, basically. And because it's a medicine of pattern differentiation.
Mm-hmm.
And so we narrow it down, and then we treat based on, from using that, but also on the individual. And again, taking into consideration what their constitution is, their age, how strong they are, and all that. So, what was the question again?
So
Oh,
your
cases.
zebras,
My
right? Yeah.
zebras.
So you've had some odd ones come in.
Oh, but they're wonderful. I love a zebra. I love tracking things down.
I like
really
the way you do.
want,
It's a horse of a different color, right?
and yeah, that's right. And I really like researching things, and that's kind of my background with that. So I had one person she was really of an age where she wanted to be able to conceive, and she'd started to get seizures in the middle of the night.
Oh wow.
And she was in an extremely high stress kind of job, 80-hour week, but really, inhumane in New York. And she wanted to not have to take the medications, and you'd have to take them for life.
It's not good during pregnancy.
No, never. So I saw her, I did the intake, and then I treated her with some typical stuff, but I go light the first time to see how somebody responds. And then I do my due diligence, and it said, needle the dew channel, which is in between the spinal discs, up the spine. It starts at the base of the spine and moves up and comes down and around the face. And so I thought to myself, like, really? I'm going to needle that? That's not going to set it off? That's going to be okay? And so I was very nervous. She's on the table. And she didn't even take herbs, and within a few sessions, she stopped having seizures.
That's
and
wonderful.
when they're young like that, they're like, they take it for granted. Like, that was no big deal. And I tried to tell neurologists that.
Right.
And so it did something with the electrical, whatever was going on.
Well, that's
around
what seizures
here.
are. They're a misfire in the electrical
Misfire.
system.
So it did something where it just, yes, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
So it just sort of made everything be regulated and move the way it was supposed to,
That's
which is
wonderful.
amazing. Again, because it's something out from the outside that's coming in, that's the body just sort of kind of wakes it up and makes it function in a smoother fashion.
So if I'm a new client, I hear about you, watching this video, and I think, wow, I want to go get a session. Are we going to start with acupuncture? Are we going to start with herbs? Is it?
Oh no, I would. If somebody has a fertility issue, if they come in, then I get them on herbs right away, because I found them to be very potent, because it's very concentrated nutrition. But usually I don't do herbs until like a little later on, because I
Get
need
the
to
body
know them.
balanced first.
Yeah, but I need to know them a little bit, because I like to hit the bullseye, and a formula most of the time needs to be, I use a classical formula, and then I might add one or two or change one or two herbs. But usually,
So it's more like a tonic that begins to tonify the body. So it's going to be there to support and heal, but you want to get that first big shift with acupuncture?
No, first I want to see how they respond with the acupuncture.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
then sometimes they really need, like if they have headaches or they're super stressed or something like that, or they have a cold, then they would get herbs right away. But most of the time I don't, because even though it's a potent medicine, it's another problem that people don't want to be taking it, and they have to pay extra for that. So
True.
it's sort of a practical matter too.
I love the fact that you use zebras. You know, all of us think we have something unique, and we do, because we're each a unique person, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen a client with same diagnosis, but they're very different?
Yes, of course, all the time.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's what I think I love about acupuncture, is that you're using your knowledge, your training, the science behind that, but you're still looking at me as a
Mhm.
unique individual,
Mhm.
rather than a diagnosis code.
Mm-hmm.
That's really thrilling. So how might I reach you if I want to come to you for an acupuncture session?
Well, email.
Email, so we've got that posted below. That's wonderful.
Okay, and phone.
Okay, wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
we'll give you a call. And your hours, are you open 5 days a week?
Yes, but off Tuesday and on Saturdays.
Oh, nice. Well, that makes it easy to access. Now, if I don't live in your area, let's say somebody's watching this, is there a place that you'd recommend they go to
Yes.
check out somebody who's board certified in acupuncture?
Yes.
Okay.
Acufinder.com
Okay.
is a site that lists everybody who's NCCA owned board certified.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and you just type in the zip code.
And then it'll give me a local acupuncturist.
Yes,
Similar
and you'll
training.
just double check their education. You know, you want to find somebody who went to a decent school, because I think when you're trained well, you're kind of idiot proof.
Yes, this is true. Yeah.
I found.
And the nice thing is, I think with acupuncture, everything I've seen is there really is do no harm.
No, of course not.
Yeah, the worst thing you do is you don't hit the right point, you don't get quite the effect,
Yeah.
but you're gonna get some positive effect.
You are, and I tell people, like, for musculoskeletal stuff, sometimes you might feel initially a little bit worse because we move something,
Right.
but no one ever gets worse. They
Ever.
always get better, which is great.
And how often do you find a safe modality like that that actually helps you
Yes.
on your healing journey?
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate your time
Thank
today.
you.
Thanks for the information.
You bet.
All right.
Okay.